She asked for a relaxing touch. Now I'm the chosen. One of her entire species asterisk, Marcus stepped off the transport vessel onto the crystalline surface of Etheros. His equipment bag slung over his shoulder and wonder filling his eyes. The planet gleamed like a massive geode, towering crystal formations catching and refracting the light of twin suns into spectacular rainbow displays. As a certified massage therapist specializing in therapeutic healing, he had volunteered for the Cultural Exchange Program, hoping to share Earth's wellness practices with alien civilizations. The air hummed with an energy he couldn't quite identify, making the hair on his arms stand on end. Beautiful beings moved gracefully through the crystal gardens, their translucent skin shimmering with internal light. These were the Aetherians, a species known throughout the galaxy for their connection to natural energies and their stunning beauty. A figure approached him with fluid movements that seemed to make the very air dance around her. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, with skin that shifted between pale blue and silver, and eyes that held the depth of starlight. Her hair flowed like liquid mercury, and when she spoke, her voice carried musical undertones that resonated in his chest. "Welcome, Earthborn healer," she said, extending a hand that felt warm despite its ethereal appearance. "I am Zephora, chosen to be your guide on Etheros. We have heard tales of your people's healing arts and are eager to learn." And Marcus felt his breath catch as their hands touched. A gentle tingling sensation ran up his arm, and for a moment he could swear he saw faint patterns of light pulse beneath her skin. "The honor is mine, Zephora. I'm Marcus, and I'm here to share what I know about therapeutic massage and energy work." As they walked through the Crystal City, Zephora explained their culture. "We Aetherians live in harmony with the planet's energy field. Our people once thrived by channeling these forces, but in recent generations, we have lost much of our connection. Fewer children are born each cycle, and our elders speak of a great disconnection from the source of life itself." The sadness in her voice touched something deep in Marcus's heart. On Earth, he had always been drawn to helping others heal, but this felt different. There was something about Zephora and her people that called to him on a level he couldn't explain. "Perhaps," she continued, her eyes meeting his with hope, "your healing methods could help us rediscover what we have lost. Would you be willing to demonstrate your techniques? Volunteer to be your first subject?" Koa Marcus nodded, feeling a strange anticipation building in his chest. "Of course. Let me set up a proper space for the session." They found a secluded grove where crystal trees grew in perfect spirals toward the sky. Marcus arranged his portable massage table and prepared his oils, each movement watched with intense curiosity by Zephora. The setting felt almost sacred, with soft chimes created by the breeze moving through the crystal formations. The process involves direct contact with your skin, Marcus explained professionally, though he found himself slightly nervous. "The goal is to release tension and promote healing energy flow throughout your body." Zephora nodded and gracefully reclined on the table, her form-fitting garment shifting to allow access to her shoulders and back. As Marcus's hands made first contact with her skin, both of them gasped. The tingling sensation he had felt earlier intensified into something electric, and Zephora's natural luminescence brightened noticeably. "Do you feel that?" she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Marcus's hands moved instinctively, following patterns he had never learned but somehow knew. As he worked, he could feel energy flowing between them, growing stronger with each movement. The crystal trees around them began to glow more brightly, and the air itself seemed to thicken with power. Something profound was awakening, and Marcus realized that this simple massage was about to change everything for both of them. The energy flowing between Marcus and Zephora intensified as his hands continued their work along her shoulders and spine. What had started as a standard therapeutic massage was becoming something neither of them had ever experienced. Zephora's skin pulsed with waves of blue and silver light that seemed to respond directly to his touch, and Marcus felt as though he was channeling forces beyond his understanding. "Marcus," Zephora breathed, her voice trembling with emotion. "Something is happening. I can feel the planet itself responding to what you're doing." Around them, the crystal grove was transforming. Dormant crystal formations began to bloom with new growth, extending delicate tendrils that sparkled like captured starlight. The musical chiming of the wind through the crystals had become a symphony, and auroral-like patterns danced across the sky despite it being day. Marcus found himself moving with increasing confidence, his hand seemingly guided by an ancient knowledge. As he worked along Zephyra's spine, he could feel barriers within her dissolving, energy pathways that had been blocked for generations suddenly flowing free. Her breathing deepened, and soft sounds of pleasure and relief escaped her lips. "I feel complete," she murmured, turning to look at him with eyes that now blazed with inner fire. "As if parts of myself I never knew were missing have suddenly returned." The moment was interrupted by the arrival of an elderly Etherin, whose presence commanded immediate respect. Unlike Zephyra's youthful luminescence, his light was deep and steady, like the glow of an ancient star. He moved with purpose through the transformed grove, his eyes wide with recognition and something approaching awe. "Elder Corvain," Zephora said, quickly sitting up and adjusting her garments. "I didn't sense your approach." The elder's gaze fixed on Marcus with an intensity that made him feel as though he was being examined down to his very soul. "Child, how could any of us sense anything beyond the great awakening happening here?" His voice carried the weight of ages. "Young human, do you understand what you have accomplished?" Marcus shook his head, still feeling the residual energy humming through his body. "I was just giving a massage, trying to help with tension and energy flow. I don't understand what's happening." Elder Corvain gestured to the transformed grove. Around them, new crystal formations had grown several feet in mere minutes, and the air shimmered with visible energy patterns. "For 1,000 cycles, our people have spoken of the prophecy of the Life-Bringer, one who would come from beyond our world to reawaken the dormant fertility of our planet and our people." Zephora gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "You think Marcus is the prophesied one?" The elder laughed, a sound like crystal bells ringing in harmony. "Child, look around you. The very stones sing with new life. I have not seen such a display of creative force since I was but a youngling." He turned back to Marcus. "Your touch has awakened energies that have slumbered for generations." Marcus felt overwhelmed by the implications. "But I'm just a massage therapist from Earth. I studied anatomy and energy work, not alien prophecies or planet-wide healing." "Perhaps," Elder Corvain said gently, "the universe has its own curriculum, and your Earth training was merely preparation for this moment." He gestured for them to follow him. "Come, the council must be informed, and there are others who will. Want to meet the one who has brought hope back to our world?" As they walked, Zephora moved closer to Marcus, her presence warm and comforting. "Are you frightened?" she asked softly. Marcus considered the question. By all rights, he should be terrified. Instead, he felt a strange sense of rightness, as if this moment had been waiting for him his entire life. "I should be," he admitted. "But being here with you, feeling this energy, ... it feels like coming home to a place I never knew existed." Their eyes met, and in that moment Marcus saw not just attraction, but a deep spiritual connection that transcended species. "Yes." Zephyr's hand found his, and when their fingers intertwined, both of their bodies glowed with gentle light. The path ahead was uncertain, but Marcus knew that whatever came next, his life would never be the same. The simple desire to share healing had become something far greater. And the beautiful being walking beside him was becoming more important to him. With each passing moment, word of Marcus's extraordinary abilities spread through the Crystal City like wildfire. Within hours of his session with Zephora, Ithirans from across the planet began arriving, hope lighting their luminescent features for the first time in generations. Marcus found himself at the center of a gathering that felt both celebration and desperate prayer. Zephora stayed close to his side, her presence both protective and possessive. Marcus noticed how other Ithirans looked at her differently, now with a mixture of envy and reverence, as if his touch had marked her as special. The connection between them had grown stronger since their first session, an invisible thread that seemed to draw them together. "My sister approaches," Zephora murmured, nodding toward a figure making her way through the crowd. Dissa shared Zephora's ethereal beauty but carried herself with a sharper edge, her silver eyes holding skepticism where her sisters held wonder. "So this is the human who has set our world ablaze with hope," Nissa said, studying Marcus with calculating intensity. "You certainly don't look like the stuff of prophecy," Nisa Zephyra warned, but Marcus raised a hand gently. "She's right to be cautious," he said. "I'm still trying to understand what happened myself. I don't want to promise something I can't deliver." Nisa's expression softened slightly. "At least you're honest. Too many of our people are already calling you savior before understanding what salvation might cost." She gestured to the growing crowd. "They all want your touch now, believing it will restore their fertility, their connection to the life force." Marcus felt the weight of their expectations pressing down on him. Each face in the crowd held desperate hope, and he could sense their need like a physical thing. But it was Zephyra's touch on his arm that grounded him, her quiet strength flowing into him through their contact. "I can try to help," he said finally. "But I think what happened with Zephyra was more than just technique. There was a connection between us, something personal and deep." As if summoned by his words, Commander Thane pushed through the crowd. The military leader's crystalline armor reflected his stern nature, and his pale blue light pulsed with controlled aggression. "Personal connections," he said with distaste. "This is exactly what concerns the Defense Council. You arrive, claim no knowledge of our prophecies, yet somehow trigger planet-wide phenomena. How do we know you're not an advanced scout? For invasion?" The accusation hung in the air like a storm cloud. Marcus felt the crowd's mood shift, hope warring with fear. But it was Zephyra who stepped forward, her light flaring with protective anger. "Commander Thane, you forget yourself," she said, her musical voice carrying an edge of steel. I felt his touch, his intentions. "There is no deception in this human, only genuine desire to heal." "Desire to heal you specifically?" Thane countered. "The question is why? What makes you so special that the prophesied Lifebringer appears at the moment you request his services?" The question struck closer to home than Marcus expected. He had been wondering the same thing. Why Zephyra? Why had their connection been so immediate and profound? Looking at her now, standing defiantly between him and the commander's suspicions, he felt something shift in his chest. Something deeper than attraction, warmer than friendship. "Maybe," Marcus said slowly. "The connection came first, and the healing followed. Maybe I'm not here to save your entire species. Maybe I'm here for her, and everything else is." He struggled for the words. "Everything else is the universe's way of bringing you together," Elder Corvain said, appearing at the edge of the circle. "The prophecy speaks not just of a life-bringer, but of a sacred union, two souls from different worlds, joining to create something greater than either could achieve alone." Zephyra's eyes met Marcus's, and in them he saw the same recognition. He felt in his own heart. This wasn't just about healing or prophecy anymore. This was about love, expected, impossible, but undeniably real. "The bonding ceremony," someone whispered in the crowd. "If they undergo the sacred union," Elder Corvain continued, "their combined energies could indeed restore our world's fertility. But the choice must be freely made, and the bond, once formed, cannot be broken." Marcus looked at Zephyra, seeing his own feelings reflected in her starlight eyes. After knowing her for less than a day, he was being asked to bond his life to hers forever. By any rational measure, it was madness. But the heart, he was learning, had its own logic. The preparation for the sacred union ceremony transformed the Crystal City into something from a dream. Ethereans worked through the night-weaving patterns of light through the crystal formations, creating a cathedral of living energy that pulsed. With anticipation, Marcus stood in his chambers, wearing ceremonial robes that seemed to be woven from captured starlight. His heart racing with a mixture of excitement and terror, Zephyra appeared in his doorway like a vision. Her ceremonial gown flowed around her like liquid moonbeams, and her natural luminescence had intensified until she seemed to glow from within. But it was her eyes that captured him, filled with love, desire, and a vulnerability that made his breath catch. "Are you certain about this?" she asked, stepping into the room and closing the door behind her. "Once we undergo the sacred union, our lives will be intertwined forever. You would be bound not just to me, but to my people, my world." Marcus reached for her hands, marveling at how perfectly they fit together. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. Yesterday I thought I knew what my future held, traveling from world to world, sharing healing techniques, maybe making a small difference now. He brought her hands to his lips, pressing gentle kisses to her fingers. Now I can't imagine a future without you in it. Zephyr's light pulsed brighter, and she stepped closer until their bodies almost touched. The ceremony will join us physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Our energies will merge, our life forces becoming one. Are you prepared for such intimacy? In answer, Marcus cupped her luminescent face in his hands and kissed her. The moment their lips met, energy exploded between them. Zephora gasped against his mouth as waves of pleasure and connection washed through both of them. Her skin blazed with silver fire, and Marcus felt as though he was being filled with starlight. Marcus, she breathed against his lips, her body pressing closer to his. I can feel your emotions, your desires. This is just the beginning of what we'll share. They were interrupted by the sound of ceremonial chimes echoing through the city. Elder Corvain's voice carried on the wind, calling them to the sacred grove. Hand in hand, they walked through streets lined with their people, all glowing with anticipation and hope. The ceremony took place in the heart of the crystal forest, where ancient formations had grown into natural arches and spirals, the Etherin. Council stood in a circle around the central platform, their combined light creating an aurora that danced overhead. Marcus and Zephora took their places in the center, facing each other as Elder Corvain began the ancient rituals. By the light of the eternal crystals and the power of the life force itself, he intoned, we witness the joining of two souls across the void of space and species. Marcus of Earth, Zephora of Ethros, do you freely choose this union? They said in unison, their voices harmonizing in ways that should have been impossible. The elder gestured for them to place their hands on a massive crystal formation that pulsed with inner fire. The moment their joined hands touched the stone, energy erupted around them. The aurora overhead blazed brighter, and every Etherin in the circle began to glow with renewed vitality. Now, Elder Corvain said, let the sacred union be completed. Share your life force, your love, your very essence, and become one. Marcus and Zephora turned to face each other, and in that moment, all the careful ceremony fell away. There was only her beautiful, radiant, perfect hand, the love that had grown between them like a crystal formation, sudden but unbreakably strong. They came together in a kiss that sent shockwaves through the planet itself. Energy flowed between them and outward, touching every living thing on Etheros. Marcus felt Zephyr's joy, her love, her complete acceptance of him, while she experienced his wonder, his devotion, his absolute commitment to their future together. The physical joining that followed was unlike anything either had ever experienced. Their bodies moved together in perfect harmony, guided by the energy that flowed between them. Every touch sent cascades of pleasure and power through both of them, and their combined light blazed so brightly that it could be seen from orbit. As they reached the peak of their union, the planet itself responded. Its new crystal formations erupted. From the ground, the aurora overhead exploded in brilliant patterns, and every Etherin for thousands of miles felt the surge of renewed fertility flowing through their world. When it was over, they lay entwined in the gentle afterglow there, bodies still humming with shared energy. Marcus could feel Zephyra's heartbeat as if it were his own, could sense her thoughts and emotions as clearly as his own feelings. My beloved, she whispered, her fingers tracing patterns of light across his chest. We are truly one now. Marcus pulled her closer, marveling at the profound connection they shared. Forever, he promised, and felt the truth of it echo through both their souls, around them. The Crystal City celebrated the dawn of a new age, but for Marcus and Zephora, the future began with this moment of perfect unity. The joy of the sacred union was short-lived. 3 days after the ceremony, as Marcus and Zephora were still reveling in their new bond and the planet's miraculous renewal, the warning alarms began to sound throughout the Crystal City. Massive ships had appeared at the edge of the star system, their dark hulls bristling with weapons and their intentions clearly hostile. Commander Thane burst into the council chambers, where Marcus and Zephora were meeting with the elders. "The Krex Empire," he announced grimly. "Our long-range sensors indicate at least 50 warships heading our way. They must have detected the energy surge from your union ceremony." Elder Corvain's expression grew grave. "The Krex have always sought to exploit other species' abilities. If they learn of Marcus's power to awaken planetary life forces, they'll try to capture him," Zephora finished, her hand finding Marcus's instinctively. Through their bond, he felt her fear not for herself, but for him and their people. Now Warlord Krex's transmission reached them within the hour. The alien commander appeared on their communication screens, a towering figure of dark metal and glowing red sensors. More machine than organic being. Etheron's, his synthesized voice grated through the speakers. "Surrender the human known as Marcus to us, and your world will be spared. Refuse, and we will take him by force and leave your crystal cities in ruins." The council chamber erupted in heated debate. Some called for immediate surrender to save their people, while others demanded they fight to protect their savior. It was Nissa who voiced what many were thinking. Perhaps Marcus should return to Earth. If he's not here, the Krex have no reason to attack us. Marcus felt the suggestion hit Zephora like a physical blow through their connection. Her light dimmed, and he could sense her struggling not to weep. The thought of separation was agony for both of them. The sacred union made being apart feel like losing half their soul, Marcus said firmly, standing and addressing the council. "I won't run and leave Zephora and your people to face this. Threat alone. We're bonded now, for better or worse." "But you could have a normal life on Earth," Zephora whispered, though he could feel through their link that she desperately wanted him to stay. "You could find someone of your own species, have the future you planned before you came here?" Marcus turned to her, cupping her luminescent face in his hands. "My love, you are my future. Earth is where I came from, but you are my home now." He addressed the council again. "The Krex want to use my abilities for their own purposes, probably to control other worlds' life forces. We can't let that happen." Commander Thane nodded approvingly. "Then we fight. Our defensive systems are strong, but against 50 warships, we have something they don't." Marcus said, an idea forming. "Zephora and I are bonded to this planet. Life force now. What if we could extend that connection? Not just to awaken fertility, but to defend our world?" Elder Corvin's eyes widened with understanding. Planetary defense network powered by life energy itself. It's never been attempted, but theoretically. "It could work," Zephora breathed, her excitement flowing through their bond. "Together, we could turn Atharos itself into a fortress." The next few hours were a blur of preparation. Zephora took their positions at the primary crystal nexus deep beneath the city. Aetherians across the planet linked themselves to subsidiary nodes. When the Krex fleet arrived and began their assault, they were met with something unprecedented. The planet's defense shields didn't just deflect their weapons, they converted the hostile energy into life force, making Etheros stronger with each attack. Crystal formations grew into massive cannons that fired pure creation energy, not to destroy the Krex ships, but to overwhelm their mechanical systems with organic growth. Through their bond, Marcus and Zephora channeled the combined will of their people, their love for each other amplifying the planet's power exponentially. What had begun as a desire to heal had become the ultimate expression of protective love. Impossible. Warlord Krex's transmission crackled with disbelief as vines and crystal formations began growing through his flagship's hull. "How are you turning our weapons against us?" "Love," Marcus transmitted back, his arm around Zephora as they stood at the nexus, glowing like twin stars. "Something your kind apparently doesn't understand." The Krex fleet retreated, their ships. 2. Compromised by unexpected organic growth to continue the attack. As the all-clear signal echoed through the Crystal City, Marcus and Zephora collapsed into each other's arms, exhausted but triumphant. "My beloved human," Zephora whispered. Against his lips, "You truly are our savior." "We're each other's saviors," Marcus corrected, feeling the truth of it in every fiber of his being. "And this is just the beginning of our story." Looking out at the Crystal City below, now glowing brighter than ever with renewed life and hope, Marcus knew he had found exactly where he belonged. Among the stars, in the arms of the woman he loved, protecting a world that had become his own. The universe was vast and full of wonders, but he had found his home.